If there's one position group that has to improve in 2026 for the New York Giants, it is easily the safety position. The Giants need more out of their tandem that features an early draft pick in Tyler Nubin and an expensive free agent in Jevon Holland. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the Giants' safety room and expectations for who's going to make the team and who needs to and will perform the best of this unit. If you've missed out on any of the other position previews that I've done, make sure to subscribe to the channel and go and check out some of those older videos. As I mentioned, the safety room has not played to its potential. It feels like it was forever ago when Xavier McKinney was a part of this team, and it felt like the direction of the Giants safeties was on a tremendous trajectory. They eventually tried to replace him through the aggregate of taking Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota and signing Jevon Holland, and neither player has really worked out in their time with the New York Giants. Starting things off with Jevon Holland, he needs to play to his contract. He needs to play to the expectation of what he was supposed to be, which was a reliable veteran free safety that was able to make plays all over the field. Last year, he allowed 16 catches on 29 targets. He also only had one interception and 59 tackles. There were some moments in 2025 where it felt like he was a solid, important piece for the Giants defense, but with everybody playing as poorly as they did, it was easy for someone like Jevon Holland to look like a complete liability. I really think if there's one position group that can benefit from a philosophical change and new leadership, it could be the safety room. Because corner needed an injection of talent, linebacker needed a complete remodeling, the defensive line, the interior of the defensive line needed to make the changes that they did of moving on from Dexter Lawrence, and that is still a question that remains to be seen, and we all know about the edge group. Safety, to me, was never properly activated the way that it could have been. And knowing Harbaugh's defenses, and Denard Wilson, who's coming in and leading this defense as the defensive coordinator, knowing historically that safeties, some unheralded safeties, have been really productive for his Ravens teams. They got some really good players that turned out to be unexpectedly high-quality safeties in the NFL. Safety is a position where you don't have to be the most, you don't have to be the top 15 pick. You don't. If you go to the right situation and you are instinctual, you can translate into becoming a Pro Bowl safety if you're in that right situation. And I think that applies here for there being talent, but not having the right direction. And now the right direction could be applied. So Jevon Holland, I'm hoping for a jump and an improvement. But the one player who has the most on the line, and I think the most to show because he is underwhelmed, and it could be a circumstance where he gets moved on from after the 2026 season, is Tyler Nubin. He allowed 22 receptions on 30 targets. He also allowed an average of 4.2 yards of separation when targeted, which is pretty abysmal. 74 tackles, no interceptions. The one thing that I caught today when I was doing my notes for this, Donald DeLeone, who is the secondary coach for the Giants on this staff, he said via NG.com that Nubin had confidence issues, which does seem to show up on film, that there's a lot of uncertainty, it feels like, from Nubin. He does not feel like he is, for as confident and as dominant as he was at Minnesota and how physical he was, that version of him has not shown up in the league yet. His quote, though, DeLeone's quote was, "Confidence is a crazy thing in this league. When you have it, you have it. When you don't, it's tough." He's comfortable in the new system, and I think we're going to use him in ways that are going to benefit his game. When there are some bad plays, if you don't stop the snowball effect, then that's when it really starts to happen. There's been a point of emphasis with him. If you make a bad play, brush it off and get ready to go to the next play, and let's roll. That is what I'm getting at here with better coaching, better direction, and an emphasis as well as activation for safeties under Harbaugh and Wilson historically, that Nubin could unexpectedly be a lot better. But the main point with Nubin is the talent's been there. And if he doesn't show that he can at least be an average level starter for this team, I would anticipate that he'll probably be one of the first players that they're looking for replacements during the 2026 offseason. Because the two sides of the coin here, with the importance of safeties under Harbaugh, if he's not cutting it, they're going to try and go and find somebody who will. Nubin has to show that he is capable. And I think that one guy who, very different roles, but is just generally going to challenge Nubin for importance on this defense is Darius Washington. I think that Darius Washington was a really underrated pickup. He's coming off of a season where he tore his Achilles last May. He did return at the very end of the year, and that was why he was available, why he wasn't really highly sought after, really brought up as an option for very many teams that were looking for safeties in free agency. I think a lot of people forget how good he was in 2024. He allowed negative 4.6 cover GPA. He also allowed a negative 4.1% catch rate allowed over expected. Those are great numbers that he's allowing in the negatives for how impactful he was in coverage. And he also only gave up 58.7% of passes completed when he was targeted. I think that Darius Washington is going to be a really useful multi-tool slot defender and third safety, knowing that in the league these days that you're typically having packages where you have more than just two safeties on the field. I think Darius Washington could be great, and that connection to Harbaugh and having played for Harbaugh is only going to help him really carve out and confirm his role with this team. I really think that we haven't talked enough about Darius Washington, assuming that the Achilles recovery has been fine, because recovering from an Achilles has always been a bit of a death sentence in the NFL. The last two guys that I think make the team, and I think that there's a really strong chance that there's only four safeties that are carried. So Jason Pinnock, I think, probably is that fourth safety because of his frame, his ability to play on special teams, and the fact that also it's nice that he was formerly a Giant. Elijah Campbell probably is that last guy on the cusp of the roster. I wonder if, and not even a wonder at this point, I feel as though that it's probably unlikely that he makes the team, with the possibility of them carving out a role for a return man. Maybe that this is the third quarterback on the roster. With a lot of options for returning kicks, I almost lean towards maybe Deonte Banks, who I coined a bit of a bubble guy, that if he's not showing that he's going to play at corner, maybe they do decide to keep him on the very, very back end and prioritize him as letting him return kicks because he's so fast. And I've always wondered, could Deonte Banks maybe benefit from a transition to safety and playing a different role? Who knows? But with a guy as physically gifted as Deonte Banks, that might end up just pushing out Elijah Campbell, who plays a different position. Bo Braid and Raheem Elaine, I don't think are going to make this team. Bo Braid was a nice pickup at the end of the preseason last year, but even having been a former Raven, I just don't think that he is going to end up making this roster. So the four are going to be as follows: Jevon Holland, Tyler Nubin, Darius Washington, and Jason Pinnock. Folks, comment below who are the four safeties that you think are going to make this team. Hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. We'll catch you later.